Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another Blender series, and this series is actually about materials and materials for beginners. We're gonna talk about a lot of different materials that you can produce in real life, and I'm gonna try to teach you the very basics of the Octane material. Okay, so let's get started and let's jump into Blender and see how everything works. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna learn is how to create a material. So to create a material, you have to select an object. So in this example, I have this shader ball here, and I select the shader ball, and you have to go to the materials properties and then click on this new material here. Okay, so now you have a material applied to this object. The other way to do that is change the menu here to the shader editor, and if you press N, you have like more space in this shader editor. And here, let me just slide this to the right, and here you can also delete the shader, the material, and create a new one from this shader editor. Another very important thing about materials from Octane is that Octane has 5 main materials that you can create any material from real life. Okay, so I separate these 5 materials here. So the first one is the glossy material that you can create, for example, leathers, plastic, ceramic, plaster, rubber. And then we have the metal material that you can create metals like aluminum, nickel, chrome, and any kind of material, any kind of metals. Okay, so then you have the specular that you can create glass or maybe water. Also, we have the diffuse materials that we can create objects that are non-reflective as paper, and also you can actually the diffuse material is very used for lighting. So if you want to create a light emission for your object, you can use the diffuse material to create light on your object. Okay, and the last one is the universal material that you can create everything. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you today the basics of this universal material. Actually, we're going to go through all these parameters here, and also we learn how to use the universal material. You'll be able to use any of these other materials here. Okay, so let's get started and see how it works. Okay, so one very important point about these universal materials is that you can control it from the shader editor, and also you can control it from the material properties. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how it works on the material properties. But as I said, everything that we change here, it will automatically change here. So doesn't matter where are you using it, it will work. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we have in this specular and this actually universal material is this specular transmission. And this transmission mode determines how light refracts. There are three options for this transmission mode. The specular, the diffuse, and the thin wall. The specular makes the material behave like a shiny specular surface. The diffuse option makes the surface appear non-reflective. And then you have this thin wall that makes the geometry becomes very thin. You don't need to worry about it right now. I'm gonna show you it later on in this tutorial. Okay, so the next one is the BRDF mode. Okay, so there are actually more than 4. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but the main ones is Octane, Backman, and this GGX here and this GGX here. Okay, the Octane option, this one here, produce more brushed metal effect, okay? And the Backman and the GGX option produce more polished chrome effect, okay? So I'm gonna show you later on as well how it works in this object over here, okay? Okay, so also we have this metallic reflection mode, okay? And this metallic reflection mode calculates the metallic material's reflective. So we have three options here: the default, the IOR plus color, and the RGB IOR. Okay, so the main one, actually the main ones that I'm gonna show you in this tutorial is the default mode and the IOR mode. The default mode uses the albedo color to determine how metallic is an object. And the IOR mode, actually the IOR plus color mode, use the albedo color and adjust the brightness using the IOR, okay? So don't worry about it right now. As I said, I'm gonna show you later on. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next one is the transmission. Actually, these last two ones here, we are not gonna talk about it, and it's not important for this tutorial. So let's go to this transmission, and to explain that, I'm gonna press render. Okay, so this transmission over here controls the light that pass through the material surface with refraction. In other words, you can create glass or water based on this transmission over here. Okay, so for example, if I increase it to white and decrease the albedo to black, you can see that we have a glass on this material. Okay, so we have just created a glass to this material. Why this glass is a little blurred? The reason is because we have roughness set to 0.063. So if I kill this roughness here, so then we have completely glass polished. And another very cool feature about this universal material and Octane is that, for example, here we have this object that is very thick. So when you apply any glass material to objects that are thick, sometimes you can't see very well through this object. So to solve this problem, and instead of remodeling it, or I don't know, maybe apply another modifier to it, you can only go to the specular transmission and change it to thin wall. So here we have a very clear glass, and I didn't need to change anything on the geometry or even apply any modifier. So that's very cool feature. Okay, so let me change the specular again, and let's talk about the albedo. So to talk about the albedo, I'm gonna kill the transmission, and let's apply a color to this albedo. And here you can change any color, you can put any color that you want. And also you can apply a texture to it. And to add a texture, you have to click on this yellow button here and search for image text. This one here. Actually, Octane, Blender, not Octane, but Blender, choose this texture that I had already applied before, but you can always open any texture from your PC. So let me try another one here. Yeah, here you go. Okay, so let's see the next one that I think is metallic. So yeah, so the metallic determines how metallic surface looks. So lower values make the surface look more dielectric, and higher values make the surface look more metallic. Okay, so if I increase this number here, you can see that our object become more metallic, has this metallic look. So if you want to create any kind of metals, the only thing you need to do is increase this value here, and of course change the color. So let's put I don't know, maybe a white, so you can see that we can have chrome material, and let's say that you want to create maybe a gold. You can just like change the color to some yellowish color, something like this. So you can choose whatever color you want. So the next one is the specular. And to talk about the specular, I have to kill the metallic. Okay, so the specular determines the color of glossy reflections for dielectric materials when the metallic parameters value is 0. Okay, so for example, if I put 0, you can see that we lose the reflection. Okay, if I start if I start increasing the specular, you can see that all that reflection that we had before start appearing again. And another cool thing is that you can apply a color to this reflection. So if you click on this button and search for RGB spectrum, let me see if I can find it. Here, this one, you can change the color of the reflection. So now we have like a red reflection here, you can see. So that's pretty cool. You can put any color you want. So okay, next one is roughness. So roughness determines how much the specular and the transmission characteristics spread across the surface. So if I start increasing the roughness here, you can see that we start blurring the reflection on the surface. So that's what roughness does. So it blurs the reflection on the surface. So for example, if we want to create, I don't know, maybe ceramic, probably we are going to use the reflection like this. But if you want to create a rubber, you have to increase the roughness a little bit to give this this rubber look to the surface. Okay. Okay, the next one is anisotropy, and to explain this one, I have to go back a little bit and explain about the BRDF mode. And to do that, I have to transform this shader to a metallic, metal one. So what I'm gonna do is I set this color here, the albedo color, to white, and the metallic to 1, and roughness I will decrease a little bit, something like that. And this BRDF mode determines how brushed or how polished the metal will be or the object will be. So for example, if now we are using Octane, and you're gonna see the result right here. Okay, so when I change, for example, to Backman, you're gonna see that we are going to have a more polished metal happening in this shader. So you can see that this reflection becomes more polished. So when I change, for example, to GGX, you have another effect, a little bit more brushed than the Backman. And when I change to Octane, you can see that this reflection become more brushed than the GGX. Okay, so this is the effect. And to use the anisotropy, you have to change it to Backman or any one of these ones instead of Octane. So I change it to Backman, and when I increase the anisotropy, you're gonna see that the direction of this reflection change. So in other words, anisotropy determines the shape of the specular and the transmission highlights a value negative, a -1, for example, creates a horizontal shape, and a value of 1 creates a vertical shape. Also, you can control the rotation of this shape. So down here, if you change the rotation number, you can see that this reflection start rotating around itself. So, and this effect is very used to create this effect on the cooking pot. Probably you have already seen that. So this effect is linked, it's connected to the BRDF mode, the roughness, metallic, anisotropy, and rotation. So if you increase roughness, for example, you're gonna have more like this effect here. And what you have to do is just like try to simulate the same effect, trying to using these parameters over here. Okay, so that's very cool. Also, you can always like try to change the BRDF mode to other kind of mode like GDX. That's very cool, right? Okay, so next one. And the next one is dielectric IOR. So dielectric IOR controls the specular reflections or transmissions Fresnel effect. So what does it mean? Actually, in real life, every material has an IOR. And the IOR determines how much reflection this material reproduces. So I found out this website over here that's called pixellandpoly.com, and here you can find most, I don't know if they put like all the materials, but you can find like most of them here and their values for the IOR. So for example, if you look for maybe a plastic, the value is 1.46. So let me go back here and let's create a plastic shader. So to do that, I'm gonna kill the metallic and let's put some gray to this albedo color here. Also roughness, I kill it as well. And anisotropy I set to 0, rotation 0, and here we're gonna put then the value. So 1.65, I think. Let me see again. Plastic, okay, 46 actually. 46, oops, 6. So this is the amount of reflection that this material, the plastic, reproduce. So if you keep increasing it, you're gonna see that we are going to have more reflection, and as more reflection you have, more it's gonna look like a metal. Okay, so now you can see that this object looks like a chrome material, right? So be careful with the number you put here. Okay, so it's important if you want to reproduce realistic shaders, you use realistic numbers. Okay, so that's very important. Otherwise, probably your materials won't appear very realistic. So of course you always can, as I do, you can try to reproduce it by eye, like just looking at the shader and try to reproduce it. But as you have like the numbers of each of these materials on the internet, I think this can be very, very useful to reproduce these materials. Okay, so the next ones are the metallic IOR green and blue. So those ones, they are a little bit more complex than the simple dielectric IOR that you can find on internet. Okay, So I'm not gonna explain how it works, but definitely I can create and record another video to explain how to use these parameters over here. Okay, but for now you don't need to worry about it. You have more than enough if you use only the dielectric IOR. Okay, so this is the first part of this video. The second part will be released still this week. We're gonna continue working on the parameters of universal material. We have a lot of to talk, so keep tuned. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and leave your message as well. If you have any questions regarding the universal material, I will be glad to answer. Okay, thank you very much and see you in the next video.